Imagine waking up in the morning, your mind doesn't race, you don't feel anxious or stressed, you just feel bliss and calm. This is a life that many spiritual leaders claim that they live. They say that this is genuinely their existence, they just feel bliss all day, every day. And when I first heard about this, I was very skeptical. That's just within my nature. But I started doing some research into these people because I believe you can learn from anybody. And I came away with some pretty profound insights. And there's one particular mindset shift that has allowed me to feel more calm and, tranquil on a day-to-day basis. But in order to share that with you, we have to first truly understand what really is inner peace. Well, inner peace comes down to our emotions. If we don't feel okay on the inside, we're not at peace. If we feel sad or we feel hollow or if we feel stressed, we're not at inner peace. Inner peace is a state of mind where everything is okay and it comes down to our emotions. But if we follow the stream, what causes our emotions? Well, it's our thoughts. We've heard the example before, but if two people are walking next to each other, the exact same situation, it starts raining, one of them thinks, why does this always happen to me? I hate the rain. And the other person thinks, great, now there's an opportunity for me to practice my discipline. The first person that thought the negative thoughts is going to feel negative emotions. The second person that thought the positive thoughts is going to feel positive emotions. So it's our thoughts about an event that causes us to feel certain emotions, not the event itself. But most people don't recognize this. It's kind of like an illness. You wake up in the morning, some events happen to you, you think and you react to those events, which makes you feel a certain way, and your emotions and your life are constantly dictated by things going on around you, the external events that are happening. And then you get tired and then you go to sleep and you wake up and the same thing happens again and again and again. If you've watched this channel for a while, you'll know this, but the spiritual leaders take this one step further. A couple weeks ago, I went to the beach with a few friends, and I was sitting on the edge of the cliff, just looking out over the sea. My friend was sitting behind me, and all of a sudden he said to me, he goes, Andrew, I just had a really bad thought. I just had the thought of what would happen if I pushed you off the edge of this cliff. And now I reacted, I was like, what is going on there? But we've all had these quick glancing thoughts. We've all had these thoughts like, what happens if I just jump off a bridge? These immediate glancing thoughts. And when he had that thought, something interesting happened, because a spectrum was created in his mind. The spectrum was, on one end, should I push Andrew? And on the other end, should I not push Andrew? There was a spectrum and he had to determine at what point in the spectrum he was going to lie. And we all have these spectrums multiple times every single day. Should I push? Should I not push? Am I happy? Am I unhappy? Should I react positively to the rain? Or should I react negatively to the rain? But what these spiritual leaders recommend is to not create a spectrum at all. It's to evolve past the spectrum and for there not even to be a spectrum in the first place. Let me explain. They recommend for you to view reality as neither good nor bad, because that is a spectrum, but just to view things as they are, not to assign meaning to things, but just say that is the way that it is and not get emotionally invested at all in it. Not even think about it, just not have the spectrum in the first place. What if we didn't have these spectrums at all? What if there was no good or no bad, no happiness or unhappiness, no should I push him off or should I not push him off? What if we just evolved past the desire to have these spectrums? That is what they claim is true inner peace. Now I know this may be quite difficult to grasp, and even if this isn't difficult to grasp, how do we actually go about the process of doing that? Well, we can break it down and go practically on how to get this kind of an inner peace. So let's go about this chain and try and get excellence in each of these different stages. When it comes to the event, the true enlightened people would say you've got to evolve past all events. You shouldn't be able to react to any events. If it's raining, you should have complete inner peace. If you're hungry, you must meditate and evolve past those points. I think it's probably more practical for most people just to try and do something about those events in the first place. We can change events to an extent, so we should do that first. But we can't always rely on this because events aren't always within our control. If we let our emotions be completely tied up with events, then our emotions are going to be a little bit like a sine wave, because the universe is always changing, the universe is always in motion. So we can't completely rely on this, which is why we've got to get excellence over our thoughts. If your dog is running around in your garden, is that going to affect you emotionally? No, the dog's having fun. But if the dog's running around the garden and there's a lead attached to it and you're holding the lead and you're getting dragged around, then you're going to be emotionally affected. And this is the way we've got to view our thoughts. Our thoughts are just happening. They're not happening to us. We've got to sit back, not identify with our thoughts, and watch them fly by like clouds. When we do this and we create the layer of separation, it's far easier to gain excellence over them. We shouldn't judge our mind and judge our thoughts, and we definitely shouldn't try and suppress them. Suppressing our thoughts with thoughts is like trying to fight a fire with a flamethrower. It's just not a good way about going about things. Our brain thinks, that's just what it does. We shouldn't get angry or anything like that. We should learn to accept our thoughts for what they are, separate from them, and then accept them. In acceptance and commitment therapy, this is called diffusion. This is diffusing ourself from our thoughts. It's so easy to get tortured by our thoughts, literally held hostage to negative thoughts that we're having. But diffusion allows us to separate from that and not get emotionally invested. You could even try and call your brain some kind of a funny name to disassociate yourself with your thoughts. Calling your brain Mr. Brain, like we all have those times where our brain brings up awkward memories of the past. When that happens, you just say, oh, thanks, Mr. Brain, for bringing that up. I understand that this is what you do, but I'm not going to let myself dwell on that. I'm just going to watch that thought pass by like a cloud. And the more we start to see the mind in this way, things naturally start to get quiet. When you don't associate yourself with your thoughts and you recognize you are not your thoughts, you're able to evolve past the spectrum and see things just as they are, neither good nor bad, not even pushing someone or not pushing someone. We don't even have the spectrum in the first place. And the spiritual teachers believe that there's actually no techniques that we can use to get to that point. Because when we're using a technique, our brain is focused on, are we doing the technique well? If we do a mindfulness meditation, our brain's focused on, am I being mindful? Am I doing this correctly? So the spiritual leaders recommend we've just got to learn to understand our mind, and that is the path to inner peace. The way I view it, the mind is a little bit like a tap. You don't want to leave the tap all the way on all the time, otherwise there's going to be a flood. You've got to pick and choose when you turn it on and when you turn it off. That was one of the insights I got from doing this research, but there's many more, and if you want to see more, make sure you click like on this video. There's a whole rabbit hole, a massive world of this kind of teachings that I haven't really explored. If you're interested in that and you want me to explore it and distill it for you, make sure you like this video and subscribe so that you see those videos on your homepage. Let me know what you think as well. I'm interested to hear your opinions. I'll see you in the next video.